Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So we are from group 4. We are going to talking about the fermented cassava or tapioca singkong. As we know that fermented cassava is made from cassava that is steamed and mixed with ragi. Most of people in Indonesia very love the fermented cassava. And we can also make other products with fermented cassava like cake, chips or drink from it. It uses natural packaging like banana leaves, so it is good for the environment. But tapioca singkong also has some problems. Cassava is not always easy to find. The waste is not reused. It does not last long. Some people still make it with old tools that are not clean.
The type of fermentation used in tape production is solid substrate fermentation or SSF. It uses cassava as the main raw material and involves yeast or fungi growing on a solid surface under anaerobic conditions. SSF is preferred because yeast and mold grow well on moist, solid substrates. It can produce alcohol, acids, and enzymes effectively. It's also cheaper and more efficient than liquid fermentation. One of the SSF benefits is improving the nutritional value by increasing protein content. And the next is the substrate. Why we use cassava? It is because cassava is the one of Indonesia's main carbohydrate source that is easy to grow, widely available, and has high calorie that making it a great energy source. It's also gluten-free and rich in nutrients like vitamin B, magnesium, copper, and potassium, which are important for cell function and blood pressure. Cassava is high in starch, about 60 to 80%, which makes it ideal for fermentation. During fermentation, these microbes break down cassava starch using amylase enzymes and turning it into sugar. Then, the sugar is fermented into alcohol and organic acid, giving tape its sweet and sour taste and a unique aroma.
Inoculum is very important in making tape singkong. It is the starter to help fermentation begin. The inoculum is called ragi tape. It has good microbes like mold and yeast. The mold changes starch into sugar and the yeast changes sugar into a little alcohol. That is why the tape tastes sweet and soft. Also, we must use the right amount of the ragi. Too much ragi will make the tape very sour, and too little will make the fermentation fail. Usually, we use only 0.2 to 0.5% or just a little, and we grind the ragi into powder and mix well with steamed cooled cassava. If we don't mix it well, some parts of the cassava might not ferment and will rot. So good ragi and good mixing are very important. Also, store the ragi in a dry, a clean and cold place.
In the production of cassava tape, they usually use a fermenter with traditional and simple. Instead, use the typical fermenter that used in the large-scale industry. In the small scale, they usually use a banana leaf, bamboo weaving, or tray made from aluminium. This fermenter is lower cost and also low at hygiene. In the medium scale, they use a rack made from stainless steel or the material plastic that's safe to use. Also, with this fermenter, the product is more hygiene and in the large scale or industry scale, they use a solid state substrate bioreactor that more efficient and hygiene to the product. They rarely use this fermenter because the cost is high, so the person is rarely use this fermenter. And when we want to scale up the cassava tea production, we need to pay attention to the several aspects. The first is quality analysis of the raw material source. The second is gathering production cost. The third is utilizing the latest technology. The fourth is enhancing worker skill, and the last is to increasing the number of worker. The scale up process is start to market demand, then to the lab scale, to the upgrade technology, plan research, pilot plan scale. In the pilot plan scale, we research more about the product, about the cassava tip, and the last is the industrial scale. Also, the fermentation process of cassava tape involve a microorganism like Saccharomyces cerevisiae, Aspergillus, Candida, and Acetobacter found in tape yeast. These microbes produce enzymes like amylase and phytase that help break down starch into glucose, which is can further fermented into alcohol and can further convert into acetic acid under the aerobic condition.
So, the several things that need to be considered when fermenting the product of cassava tape or tape singkong in the operating conditions are: the first is hygiene equipment and facilities. So, hygiene equipment and facilities when making cassava tape are essential to prevent the contamination and support optimal microbial growth. If the equipment and facilities in fermentation process are unhygienic, so that can introduce unwanted microorganism contamination, which can damage the product. The second is the typical of yeast. In the process for making cassava tape or tape singkong, usually use Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So the third is a storage time. The cassava tape usually can fermented for 2 until 4 days, but depending on the temperature and the type of yeast that used. The shorter fermentation times can result in under fermented products, while the longer times can result in excessively high alcohol content. The fourth is alcohol content. The alcohol content can increase as the fermentation process progresses. Such as on the first day of the fermentation process of cassava tape, which usually has an alcohol content of X until 10%. And the fifth is temperature. The temperature that I tell in fermentation process and of cassava tape or tape singkong with Zeus Saccharomyces cerevisiae is 30 until 35 Celsius. But if the temperature is higher, so that can make the microbial dead. So the sixth is moisture contents. The ideal moisture contents in the cassava tape or tape singkong substrate usually range from 60 until 70%. So and the next is oxygen concentration. When the oxygen concentration in making cassava tape is limited, the production of the metabolites such as alcohol can increase during the fermentation process. And then if oxygen concentration too high, the fermentation will be not optimal. And the next is pH value. The ideal pH value for the crowd of fungi or yeast in the fermentation process of cassava tape usually is around 5 until 6.
My name is Miko Aditya Mahindra, and I'm gonna explain the downstream process. The downstream process of cassava tape is different from other industrial process because the goal is not to take out just one ingredient, but to keep the whole product tasting and smelling good. The first important step is harvesting, which must be done at right time. When the tape is soft but still holds its tape tastes sweet and has a fruity, slightly alcoholic smell. If left too long, it can become sour and spoiled. After harvesting, the tape must be handled cleanly to avoid germs. Chilling is used to slow down bacteria and keeps the product stable. Besides being eaten directly, cassava tape can also be turned into other useful products like bioethanol, chips, flour, or puree for desserts and bakery items. This makes it a product with many possibilities in both traditional and modern markets. Cassava tape represents a valuable traditional fermented product in Indonesia, produced through solid-state fermentation (SSF) using ragi tape, a symbiotic culture of molds and yeast. This method efficiently transforms inexpensive cassava into a sweet, slightly alcoholic, delicacy with enhanced nutritional value and reduced anti-nutritional factors. Maintaining quality requires careful control of fermentation parameters such as inoculum quality, time, temperature, moisture, and pH. While traditionally made with basic tools and natural materials like banana leaves, modernization through bioreactors, hygienic processing, and advanced packaging offers opportunities for industrial scaling. By standardizing starter cultures, applying GMP, and optimizing SSF process, cassava tape can evolve from a regional trade into a competitive, exportable product, preserving cultural heritage while expanding Indonesia's presence in global food market.